Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Take 5 with the Founder. I'm Emily Serrano, Branding and Marketing Manager here at Zig.ai. Today I'm joined with our founder and CEO, Steve Anchetta. Today we'll be discussing how AI is being implemented into sales workflows. Hey Steve, how are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to get into this topic. I know it's something that you're super passionate about, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So, with AI showing up more in sales conversations and tools more than ever, from what you've observed, how are you seeing teams actually approaching and implementing that today into their workflows?
I think I'm seeing it. I think that this is like a two-parter. It's like how it should probably be implemented and how I'm seeing it implemented. So the way that I'm seeing it implemented is a lot of companies are still kind of in the novice, like educational phase of AI. So what they're doing is the ones who are kind of thinking forward are looking at how do we use things like simple tools like GPT or Claude or Gemini to write emails or answer questions. A little bit further down that road, there's companies who are spinning up things like Microsoft Copilot or testing things like Agentforce with Salesforce, but it's still being used very much as a layer of something. It's not really being embedded into the way that sales operates on a day-to-day basis. The way that it should be implemented is it should really be implemented around the workflows of how a sales organization is already running, and then bringing that together and augmenting some of the human mundane and repetitive tasks with utilizing AI to do those. So there's two very different things that I'm seeing. It's how it's being done today, and then where I feel like the value for sales teams using it is in the future.
And when sales leaders talk about productivity, what role do you think that AI can be expected to play in that?
Yeah, I mean, so when productivity is seen out from a sales leader perspective, usually it's around metrics, right? And then what are those metrics? It's the outcomes, number one. So where did a salesperson start the month or start the quarter, end the month or end the quarter? And then where were they from a percentage standpoint to their goal? From a day-to-day or a week-to-week, it's very much metric based around activity. So where AI can help both of those is AI does a really good job of being able to predict based on data kind of what it's going to look like at the outcome phase. So being able to prepare for either shortfalling or over exceeding those end of month, end of quarter metrics, AI can essentially create that. That's first and foremost. Number two is on the activity metric side. The problem that a lot of salespeople face is that it's not that they're bad at their job. It's not that they don't know what they're doing. I've met hundreds, if not thousands, of very talented salespeople. Their biggest adversary is always time, right? And they're expected to do a lot of things in a very short period of time. Let's call it a week to week. And the higher percentage of those are non-revenue generating. So sometimes they have to put their revenue generating tasks on the back burner in order for their non-revenue generating tasks to take precedent in the time frame that they need to be done. So that's where AI really shines. Those type of mundane non-revenue generating tasks, anything that is the in-between work that gets them to having the conversations, that could be augmented using artificial intelligence, and it could be done very, very well even today, and it's only going to get better.
I know that, implementing AI, for some, it's very exciting. For some, it's a little nerve-wracking. Why do you think the idea of AI in sales makes some people nervous, especially around job security?
Oh, well, it's always that thing, right, that you've heard since the birth of AI as we know it today, right? I would say, the last 5 years where it's really been at the top of the market. Everybody's always had this thing of AI is going to take people's jobs. And there's something that I heard that I really, really like back at Superset. I believe one of our Hive companies talks about this. They don't call it artificial intelligence. They call it augmented intelligence. And for me, that's really what it is it's not so much of a replacement of a human being. It is a replacement of tasks that weigh a human being down on actually being able to do the things that they were hired to do. So for a salesperson, on paper, you are hired to build relationships, close business, increase revenue for the company and yourself. But in actuality, you're also partly a customer service rep. You're also partly a project manager. You're also partly a post-sale support, pre-sale support. So there's a lot of things that go in that. All of that being augmented using AI allows a sales rep to do more of what they were hired to do, which is build relationships, close business, drive revenue. And I think that that's a great thing. I think sales is very well positioned to be able to get the most value out of AI at all levels than almost any other profession on the planet right now.
And kind of touching on what you just said about giving the seller back more sales time, as you've watched teams adopt more technology over time, whether that be in products or services, what do you think has been the biggest impact on whether or not productivity actually improves?
I think definitely productivity does increase using new tools, right? There's some great tools on the market that solve different problems, and they do a great job at doing that. The issue is the more tools that you dump on a salesperson, the more context switching is expected, right? And so the more context switching is expected, the admin now just gets redirected as opposed to where they were doing XYZ, which was taking up 50 to 60% of their time being non-revenue generating. Now that 50-60% is taken up by context switching. It's kind of a push and pull right now where yes, there are tools that are on the market that are increasing productivity and are getting results much quicker. But with that, there comes the context switching piece and the having to understand how to use these new tools and then take the data from one tool and move it to the next. I think that's where that's where what we're betting on at Zig is that's where the next kind of evolution of productivity comes in, is actually making all those connections without needing to, number one, reteach a human being within the organization, and number two, hire somebody outside of the organization to then now manage that.
So, Steve, last question for you today. If sales leaders could take one mindset shift into the next year as AI becomes more present, what do you think would be the most impactful takeaway, or what matters most here?
I think if they could take one thing away and kind of shift their thinking over the next year, it's to stop looking at AI as a widget or a tool to add to their stack. AI is essentially augmentation of work, right? So what they need to do with that is that they need to look at what are my people wasting most of their time on that they can be then utilizing to, let's say, drive revenue, right? And what are those pieces those nice to haves of if something could do this and save them time here, I know that they would be doing this, which is more beneficial for not only them, but for the company as well. They need to think about it as human task augmentation as opposed to a tool or a widget, the way that they've been groomed to think of software over the last 3 decades. You get a piece of software, it's a new toy, a new tool, and it's going to increase productivity, but there's no outcomes or metrics that are held accountable to it. AI, you can hold metrics accountable to AI. And if something's not working, let's say you implement AI into a specific workflow, if you're working with an actual AI company, a company that isn't just, hey, now we have AI, it's a company that actually was AI at its core, they'll be able to kind of move and bob and weave with you as a sales leader. And if one thing's not working, they'll be able to repurpose it somewhere else until you get kind of that perfect mix of your natural workflow.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Steve, so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed talking to you. I look forward to our next episode of Take 5 with the Founder. Have a great day.
Thanks. See you guys.